After a problem's been identified, then go on to a feasibility study. As mentioned before, identifying a problem is really sorting out what the issues are involved and figuring out what has to be done. This is where you go on to the answering the question of, is it going to be possible to do that? So as the question of what is a feasibility study, I think this is a decent enough definition, especially in terms of determining if a problem can be solved effectively. If you're looking for an analogy, you may go to a doctor's and he may be able to diagnose what the problem is. It doesn't mean to say that he will come up with a way of solving that particular problem effectively. It may be that he can diagnose it, but he doesn't know essentially how to cure it. I think the question says it all for this one. Is the solution technically possible? There's all sorts of examples you could give for this. For instance, if somebody's looking for a particular disk drive that of such a magnitude that doesn't exist, then it's not going to be possible. And in the notes that are given, it talks about a robot fitting into dimensions, and there's many examples you can think of. So long as you've got it clear in your head as regards, is it going to be possible technically to do this with the current technology that exists? Economic aspects, put bluntly, is simply the fact of whether the costs involved in producing this solution that you're going to outline, that's going to fix the problem, are they really going to be too high? Is the actual, if it's a physical thing, is the actual cost of producing this physical thing so great, or the implementation of this so great that in fact it's not really feasible to do it? Or can the cost, which often happens in business, be passed on to the customer? Will that mean that the actual cost of the item that's produced, is it just too high? So an economic consideration, and I've tried to highlight this by the image that's there, by saying it isn't a bottomless pit of money. It may be that a particular organisation is willing to throw a lot of money at something, but they're not going to throw limitless amounts at it. That's just not economically viable. So the economic aspects is regarding the cost of actually coming up with the solution to the problem. Again, this is one where the question says it all. There's got to be enough skilled people to run the solution that you're intending to put in place, and whether it's feasible or not to have a particular solution implemented is going to depend on whether you have got the people that are skilled enough to run that system. It may not be that there are none of those people. It could be that you just can't get hold of those people. There's just not enough of them, or getting hold of them would involve paying such large amount of money that it's economically not feasible. So there can be an overlap in the economics here as well. But it's really answering that question: are there enough skilled people? And that's not just the people you currently employ, but the people in the marketplace as well. So on to social consequences. Now, social can represent all sorts of different things depending on the context you're putting it in. Here, the most obvious question you're going to be asked, and the focus of this particular determination of social consequences, is really about for the workforce, regarding losing jobs, regarding the community that it works in. Is it going to cause unemployment? Is it going to cause redundancy? And that's really how systems analysis will be defined in this context. However, I did think it was worth listing a couple of other points there as regards the government and environmental, indeed nowadays as well. But I'm happy for you to just focus on the fact is whether people are going to lose their jobs. It's as simple as that. In the last of these particular aspects of feasibility study, it's a look at cost-benefit analysis, and there is of course some overlap here with the economic aspects, but the real question here is, when it comes down to it, do the costs outweigh the benefits, or do the benefits outweigh the costs? In other words, are you going to get so much more profit from this that it outweighs any costs you have to stump up? Does it increase the profitability overall of the company by doing this? If it does, then it's going to be worth it. If it's not, and the costs outweigh the profits altogether, then you've got to ask yourself, is it worth continuing now? And that's something that a systems analyst is going to have to go back to the customer and say, look, I'm not sure that this is really going to be worth it, because here's the figures and here's what it's going to cost you, and here's what I think that you're going to make extra, or the profitability of the company is going to go up like this, or overall in the long term your costs are going to go down despite the initial costs of the changeover to the new system, and all these kinds of things. So really a cost benefit analysis. Look at the words cost benefit analysis. If you don't do business, then I suggest you look that up on the internet as regards what is cost benefit analysis. Of course, if you do business, then this is something you will have covered. And this is the last of the feasibility studies, and you should now be pretty clear on all the elements that are involved in a feasibility study and the points of view, really.